Thinking about selling your homemade soap in Canada but wondering about the legalities? It can be exciting but also a bit confusing, especially if you're new to soap making. Turning your hobby into a business sounds great, but it's important to know the rules and regulations to avoid any legal issues. That's where we come in. We'll cover everything you need to know, from labeling requirements to Health Canada cosmetic notification forms, to help you navigate the legal landscape. Here is a brief guide to make sure your soap selling venture is both successful and legally compliant. First off, regulations and requirements for selling homemade soap in Canada. Making and selling homemade soap in Canada involves following some important regulations to make sure your products are safe and compliant with all legalities. Here's a brief rundown of what you need to know. Number 1, Health Canada regulations for cosmetic products. In Canada, Health Canada oversees the sale of homemade soap under the Food and Drug Act and cosmetic regulations. These rules are in place to make sure all cosmetic products, including homemade soap, are safe for consumers. Number 2, registration and licensing requirements. You don't need a special license to sell homemade soap, but you must notify Health Canada by filling out a cosmetic notification form. This form includes details about your product, ingredients, and your contact information. Number 3, ingredient restrictions and labeling requirements. Your soap labels must follow specific rules set by the cosmetic regulations and the Consumer Packaging and Labeling Act. Labels should clearly list the product's name, ingredients, usage directions, quantity, and expiry date. Ingredients must be listed by their common name or scientific names. Health Canada also has a list of ingredients that are either restricted or prohibited in cosmetics, which you need to follow. The next thing to consider is good manufacturing practices guidelines. Health Canada recommends following good manufacturing practices to ensure the safety and quality of your homemade soap. These guidelines include facility and equipment standards, training and hygiene for personnel, selection and handling of raw materials, production and process controls, packaging and labeling requirements, and quality control and testing. Following these practices shows your commitment to producing safe and high-quality soap. Besides federal regulations, you also need to be aware of provincial rules. While no specific licenses are required at the provincial level, some provinces may have additional regulations or permits. For provincial specific regulations, check if your province requires you to obtain a business license or register your business. It's important to research and comply with any provincial specific regulations. Also, ensure your production facility meets local health and safety standards, including proper sanitation and cleanliness, adequate ventilation and lighting, proper storage and handling of materials and products, compliance with fire and building codes. By following these guidelines, you can ensure the safety and quality of your homemade soap, protecting both your customers and your business. For ingredient safety and testing, when making homemade soap, it's crucial to use safe and high-quality ingredients. Soap makers should carefully research and select ingredients that are suitable for skin contact and comply with Health Canada's regulations. Using unsafe and untested ingredients can pose potential health risks to consumers. Mandatory labeling information according to Health Canada includes the product's name and net quantity declaration, list of ingredients, manufacturers and distributors information, and directions for use and precautions. Allergen labeling and bilingual labeling may also be necessary. When you are marketing and advertising your products, ensure compliance with advertising standards by making truthful and not misleading claims. Avoid health claims that could classify the product as a drug. Understand restrictions on product claims and ensure claims related to organic or natural ingredients are accurate and substantiated. After considering all the necessary legalities in Canada, now it's time for selling your homemade soap. This can be done through different channels. You can sell your soap online by using platforms like Etsy, Shopify, or Amazon, and ensure your listing have clear descriptions, great photos, and follow all regulations. You can also sell your soap on local markets and events, which is great for in-person sales. but check for any required permits or licenses. Ensure your booth meets health and safety standards. Selling homemade soap in Canada involves a few important steps, but it is manageable. Follow Health Canada's guidelines, maintain good manufacturing practices, and comply with local regulations. With these steps, you can safely and successfully sell your homemade soap. Good luck and happy selling.